If you've been romantically involved with a narcissist before, chances are you would have noticed how they condition you to be just the person that they need you to be to serve them and to stroke their ego in the right way. But it's not an immediate thing. It's gradual and it's an iterative process over time. So narcissists, what they do is they they get you to warm yourself up to them by being very kind, attentive, interested in you. They do all these things in the early days to get you really kind of feeling them, vibing with them, and you see somebody who you think you can trust and who cares for you. And once they've gotten you to release your guards, your personal boundaries have been dropped, they they say or do certain things, and they do this constantly over the period of time, whether it be weeks, months, or years, where they're basically trying to kill off your self-worth a little bit, slowly but steadily get you to believe that, you know, you don't matter as much as they do, in a sense that if you want to achieve great things, if you want to be happy, you need to please the narcissist first and foremost. So they somehow manage to make themselves the center of your world, such as to supersede your own interests. And it's a steady process where every single day, all the time, they're always doing or saying something to put themselves as a priority over you until you start to accept it. Until you start to accept that it's more important for you to please them than it is to please you. Because if you don't please them, then most certainly there will be some kind of repercussion for you that's not good. So but they do it in very clever ways, in ways where you barely notice it, where you kind of feel uneasy if you're not pleasing them, stroking their ego. If you're not doing all the things they want you to do, you feel uneasy because you kind of feel like some negative repercussion might come, although sometimes it's really hard to rationalize it. But through experience, you've come to expect that. But all these things are so subtle and they happen so gradually over time. If you're not very attentive, you might not really see what's happening. But if you've been through it, you can probably think of certain things that they have done. I'm not going to get into tons of examples or anything like that. Just touching on the principles of how they operate. And if you've been involved with one, then most likely this would resonate with you. But what's happening is they are conditioning you and reconditioning you to make themselves the center of your world, to make you believe that your interests don't matter, to make you believe that your self-worth isn't really there, that you don't really matter as much, that other people don't think highly of you, that your capabilities and competencies are not as great as you once thought. They kind of level you downwards and they level themselves upwards. And they get you to believe that. Because if they can get you to believe that they are worth more than you and your worth is not very much, then they're achieving their goal because it then kind of becomes a reality. And it all starts with the trust. And that's why you can't trust these people. Importantly, you shouldn't get into a serious relationship with one, because when you do that, you you know you're a target, and any kind of close relationship with a toxic person like that, it just can't end well. So just realize, when you are with somebody who needs to feel in control, who needs to feel superior, who needs to be with somebody who doesn't pose a threat to them in any way, shape, or form, like narcissists, then they can only be with that person, in this case, you, the target, if you fit into this confine, this very narrow framework, where they don't see you as a threat, where they see you as submissive, where they see you as somewhat confused, where they see you as somewhat doubtful of yourself, and thereby relying on them with this kind of dependency on them. It's the only way narcissists can stay in a long-term, steady relationship with somebody is if that person conforms to those things which they need. You need to serve them. You need to stroke their ego when they need their ego to be stroked. They need you not to pose a threat to them. They need you to put their interests before yours. They need you to be the punching bag when they're unhappy and they need to project their negativity outwards. They need you to absorb that. And they need you to do all those things and not complain and accept it. Accept your role of inferiority. It's just the reality of a relationship with a narcissist. And if you don't conform in those ways, chances are one of you will repel the other. It doesn't work. But when narcissists find that target, that supply, that they can condition to serve them in just the right ways, then obviously they'll want to keep that person. Until that person decides that enough's enough. Eventually people decide enough's enough and they leave, or things fall apart. But when they have that good supply that serves them in just the right way, they'll try to keep that person around for as long as they can.